Hey guys, what's up? It's Tom Stricken. Today I want to discuss MOA, or minutes of angle, and why we buy certain sights for certain jobs. For example, a site like Aimpoint, they offer either 2 MOA or 4 MOA. What does that mean? That means at 100 yards, you will have a 2-inch red dot or you will have a 4-inch red dot. Which one is best for you? Well, each one comes with a little give and take. Are you going to be deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, or are you going to be staying mostly home, stateside? You know, you have to figure out what the majority of your targets are going to be at what distance. So if you're going to be deployed, for example, obviously most of your target engagement is going to be around after 75 to 100 yards and on. So do you want something this large, 4 MOA at 100 yards? Do you want it taking up that much space on your target? A little difficult shot to take, don't you say? Or do you want something small, like a 2 MOA at 100 yards, 2-inch circle? So you have to really figure out what your rifle, your particular assignment is going to be. Is it, like I said, stateside at home? Are you just doing home protection and target practice on the range within 100 to 200 yards? Then you are going to be okay with a 4 MOA dot. It's going to cover 4 inches at 100 yards, which means closer, it's now going to be a really easy target to hit. You're going to be able to pick up your rifle and you're going to see this dot instantly, and it's going to be enough, large enough, yet small enough to have some give and take on a target. If you get the 2 MOA, which is a 2-inch circle at 100 yards, it's going to be a little difficult to see if you pick up your rifle really quickly to engage a target. You're going to have to make it really, really bright, and then what happens is when you make it bright, it actually washes itself out. It's got like a halo around it. It's almost like staring into headlights of a car. As you turn that knob, it's going to get brighter and brighter. So you're going to have to dim it down a little bit, but then it's a little harder to see, especially during daylight or if you use a flashlight inside of your home. So you're going to have a really accurate shot, 2 inches at 100 yards. You know, you have a lot of give and take. You could even make really accurate headshots, but that's at a distance. Up close, it's harder to see, easier to see. So what is it that you want? Now, for example, say you do have an assignment that's going to allow you to engage enemies at 300 yards, for example. Your target now is a lot further away, so it's smaller. So at 300 yards, this 2-inch circle is going to turn into a 6-inch circle. Okay, do you see how I got that? They measure MOA. 2 MOA is a 2-inch circle at 100 yards. So at 300 yards, it is now going to look like a 6-inch circle on target. So good luck making that headshot accurately. You're going to have to go for body shots. The same as 4 MOA, which is a 4-inch circle at 100 yards. At 300 yards, it is now a 12-inch pie. You're not going to be making headshots. You're going to have a little difficult time making body shots. I mean, you'll have to really place it correctly and have some good trigger discipline. Versus, for example, a 6-inch. So remember, this was the 2-inch, or the 2 MOA. This was the 4 MOA, or 4-inch at 100 yards. Which one would be easier to engage an enemy at 300 yards? Obviously the smaller one. But then when you're stateside or home, you're going to have to deal with this at 100 yards. So it's a little give and take, and you have to figure out what is it that you're going to be doing with your rifle, and where are you going to be engaging your targets at for the majority of the time. You know, some guys will, for example, have a 4 MOA when they're home, and on their battle rifle that they go overseas with, they'll have a 2 MOA that they know they can engage enemies at 300, 400 yards, and it's not going to turn into that. Like I said, I know it's a little confusing, but when something is close up, it looks large. But when it goes away, it's now really small. So this target is small, but the dot never changed its size. It's sitting in front of your eyeball the whole time. So for example, here's your dot, right? And here's your target. Here's your enemy. This enemy is now leaving you. Look how much harder it is to put this dot accurately, for example, say if it was a headshot on your target here. But at the end of the day, did you make a mistake if you bought the 2 MOA and you're just for home defense? No. Did you make a mistake if you bought the 4 MOA? No. I'm not going to pat you on the back, or I'm not going to scold you for either choices. One has pluses, one has minuses. You just might have to run this one a little bit brighter and deal with that halo around the dot. So when you pick up your rifle, it's right there in front of your eye. It's easy to pick up as if it was a 4 MOA. Now, you can dim it down a 4 MOA, and it's going to resemble almost like a 3 MOA. I mean, it's going to become really small, and it's easier to zero in your rifle. So either one of these is a great choice. You're just going to have to modify the brightness control slightly. So which means this one running brighter is going to use a little bit more batteries than this one having to run lower. Your batteries and your battery lifetime will be longer. So again, I just want to go over at 100 yards, your dot is going to look this big, 2 inches, 2 MOA. At 300 yards, it is going to turn into what looks like a 6-inch dot. It's going to cover 6 inches on your target. When at 100 yards, it only carried 2 inches. 4 MOA at 100 yards was 4 inches. It's 4 inches wide. Okay. At 300 yards, it is now a pizza pie of 12 inches. Little difficult shot to take. Now, some people, for example, like myself, like I explained, I have the Delta Point, which is a triangle. The triangle you can use 2 different ways. For example, let's pretend this is the Delta Point triangle. Okay, the triangle comes from the ACOG, which has a chevron, a red chevron, and then graduated marks going down like a Christmas tree, it's called. The triangle you can zero 2 different ways. The triangle you can zero as just a full-on triangle, meaning where you're aiming, the shot is going to be placed right there by the bullet. So if you're aiming right here, the shot's going to go right there. Or you can zero the tip. So you can take your triangle, and this is what I did. You can take your triangle on your Delta Point or any other sight that utilizes a triangle, and make sure the zero, the point of aim to point of impact, is the tip of the triangle, the absolute tip. This way, when you are moving around with your weapon and you're looking down through your red dot, just forget about everything on the bottom here and just utilize just this tip. So now you're utilizing the tip, and it's much easier to place on target versus making the whole triangle your point of aim to point of impact. Thanks guys for watching. I'm Stricken, and I'm out.